Back here in Accra, we focus on mainstream politics, and the National Democratic Congress has withdrawn its request asking the Supreme Court to rule that the Electoral Commission does not have the power to compile a new voters register. Now, this was after the court had asked the party to make a choice on which of its reliefs it wants to pursue. Joseph Akable was in court for JoyNews.
The opposition NDC in its case in the court had made the point that the Electoral Commission does not have the power to compile a new register. They also make the point that should the court even rule that the Electoral Commission can compile a new voters register, the EC should allow persons who intend to use the existing voters ID card as proof of identification that they are citizens and they are of 18 years of age should be allowed to use those cards to get onto the electoral roll. The court first asked the lawyers for the NDC to elect one of the reliefs and pursue it instead of pursuing the combined relief of asking for a declaration that the EC cannot compile a register and also asking that it is unconstitutional to exclude the voters ID card. The NDC's lawyers, led by Godwin Tamaklo, opted to abandon the course relating to challenging the powers of the EC to compile a new register, and rather to make the point that the EC should allow others who have the current voters ID card to take part in the registration exercise. The court then proceeded to hear legal arguments from the parties in the case. Deputy Attorney General Godfrey Adami told the court that the EC should be allowed to correct its own error, since it has admitted that indeed it allowed persons and trained its officials not to obey CI 72. That, he said, is evidence that indeed persons who are with their cards, some of whom acquired it through ways which cannot be trusted, and that should be evidence that the court should take note of. The NDC insists that no evidence has been shown that indeed individuals who are not supposed to be on the electoral roll are on the roll, and so they cannot proceed to say that they shouldn't use the voters register. After listening to the arguments, the court adjourned proceedings to June 23 to deliver its judgment, 7 days before the EC has slated to carry out its compilation of a new voters register. Reporting for JoyNews on the Law Court Complex, my name is Joseph Akable.
In Parliament, the first Deputy Majority Whip, Matthew Nyindam, says the NDC's decision to withdraw a request asking the Supreme Court to rule that the EC does not have the power to compile the new voters register is a sign that the party will lose the main case when the court rules later this month.
Well, I think it's a good call by the Supreme Court. And like I said, common sense will tell me that obviously the NDC didn't have a case to go to court to pray the court to stop the Electoral Commissioner from their mandated and constitutionally mandated work, telling them not to compile a new voters register.
So for you, does the new directive mean anything at all in terms of how the eventual outcome of the case?
Yeah, yes, it really means something to me, because if you go and you are telling the court to stop the Electoral Commissioner from compiling a new voters register, and the court is telling you you should choose between the two, it actually tells you that they are sick of indecision. They have not decided well. If they have decided well, they should have told the court that we need both reliefs. But at the end of the day, they decided to drop that aspect, which means that they never thought through by filing that relief. And secondly, it also gives me a hope that the NDC never thought through the first one. The second one too, actually, they never thought through it, and they will not win on that matter. So who is intimidating who? Are we talking about intimidating the judges, intimidating the Electoral Commissioner, or the NDC, or the MPP? We are all Ghanaians. Those military people, or whatever you call them, the security people you saw around, are all Ghanaians. And for that matter, they are protecting a state institution, they are protecting you, they are protecting me, they are protecting NDC, they are protecting MPP. There is no intimidation.
Well, we have to on the news board again. Our caution on our main campaign, Arrive Alive on the Road, is always on. And our Arrive Alive tip for the morning is very simple. The temptation to speed to work and from time to time hang out or have some relaxation, especially because it's a Friday, on a Friday, is incredibly high. But remember, you may not arrive at all to have that fun. So this morning, resolve to do a number of things. One, avoid texting and chatting on the phone while driving. Keep to acceptable speed limits, and then you will arrive alive at your main destination. That's it for now. The destination is right here on the AM show, and for the next 2.5 hours, we're on it for you.